It's noon here in Ventnor City, New Jersey, and our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and this is CarEdge Live for Friday, December 27th, with your hosts, me, Ray, so damn glad to be back home, although it is a tad bit chilly in my apartment, and, well, Zach, the hooded CEO. How are you today, handsome?
I'm doing well, Pops. Today's show is brought to you by CarEdge.com. We're in full swing over here, folks. We've got a few more days left in our year-end promotion back at CarEdge.com. If we can help you out with anything, check it out at CarEdge.com. Dad, we're going to talk about Hertz here for a moment. That's where we're going to start. Hertz is struggling mightily, all right? Okay. They are selling their Tesla rental cars, trying their best to sell them directly to customers who are actually renting them. And the price of these Tesla vehicles continues to fall. Hertz made a big bet on Tesla, what was it, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, purchasing tens of thousands of Tesla vehicles, and now they are depreciating like crazy. I thought we could tie this into the negative equity research we did back at CarEdge.com as well, which shows that 1 out of every 2 EV drivers who finance the purchase of their vehicle is upside down on their auto loan right now. Seems like Hertz is upside down on their auto loans too, just to the tune of, I don't know, maybe 50,000 Tesla vehicles.
Well, they've sold off some of them already. I mean, when Tesla started lowering their asking prices for their new cars, the wholesale value of the pre-owned cars, dropped accordingly and continue to drop accordingly. There's nothing that depreciates faster today than an EV. And, you know, Hertz had said, well, we're gonna buy 100,000 Teslas. I don't think they ended up buying that many, but boy, just that statement was a mistake. They committed to quite a few. They realized it was somewhat of an issue. Most people didn't even know how to charge the damn things when they rented them. There wasn't anybody at Hertz that really seemed to be knowledgeable enough about the vehicles to help their customers who were renting them. And then Hertz decided that maybe we need to get out of the EV business. And they have been, what's a polite way of saying this? They have been taking it in the shorts with every attempt to unload these EVs, these Teslas. And it is just costing them millions of dollars.
It's super fascinating. They're trying to sell them to renters, which is a new way of doing things. This is kind of like at the dealership when you go and take your vehicle in for a service and they try and sell you a new car or buy that vehicle from you. Dad, I want to pull up here. We released recently our negative equity update, the negative equity study that everyone in our community helps us with, which we greatly appreciate. And you can see here, Dad, 54% electric vehicles are the hardest hit. 54% of EV owners are underwater, up from 46% in Q3 2024. So this is just consumers who are reporting negative equity. 54% of those that finance the purchase of an electric vehicle are upside down. It's 39% of drivers overall have negative equity right now. So if you're Hertz, no wonder you're actually asking your customers who are renting your vehicles if they want to purchase them. You're trying to get rid of these things in any way, shape, or form you can.
Yeah, I would think I would be texting a renter the whole time they had the vehicle consistently. Come on, what if we made you a special deal? And the sad reality is, if I may, it is only going to get worse for EV owners. Many of the major players in the electric vehicle space have already announced that there are going to be huge price reductions on their EV offerings next year. Well, I know Toyota is a $6,000 price reduction on what is it, the BZ4X or whatever the hell it is. Many others have come through and said the same thing. Well, that's only going to further tank wholesale values and market values of existing EVs. So it's just going to get worse. Anybody that has an EV that is thinking of perhaps getting rid of it needs to rethink that and just hold on to it. The idea behind an EV is that ultimately they cost you less because there's that fuel cost savings, there's maintenance cost savings. Well, you got to hold on to the vehicle for quite some time when they are depreciating in value as quickly as they are, because otherwise those fuel cost and maintenance savings ain't really any savings when you factor in how much you're losing on the vehicle.
Put it back into the context of Hertz, that they don't care about any of that, right?
No.
Like they don't care about any of it. They thought that these vehicles were going to attract a bunch of customers, and actually what it's done is it's attracted a bunch of debt, a bunch of liability. I mean, they truly have one of the worst negative equity situations, period. Whether
Well,
it's businesses or consumers, they put a big bet on the most rapidly depreciating type of vehicle in the market, and they are now paying the price for that. And again, you're going to continue to see it show up in desperation and their willingness to try and sell these things.
and truth be told, the CEO whose idea it was to buy all these vehicles in the first place, to bet on EVs as rental cars in the first place, well, he went down in flames. I mean, they
Yep.
got rid of him because of the bad bet that he made. One
CDG
of the
posted.
wonderful. What was
Oh,
that, Zach?
no, go ahead. Sorry,
I,
Dad.
I was just going to say, one of the wonderful things about being a CEO is you're often allowed to make bets. And in many cases, they're wrong. They're the wrong bets. They're bad bets. They end up costing businesses millions upon millions of dollars. In some cases, though, some CEOs can weather that. In other cases, well, like in the case of Hertz, they cannot. And I'm pretty sure even when they make a bad bet, there's a golden parachute that helps them land safely when they are asked to leave the company. But still, it doesn't look good on your resume when it says, "Oh yeah, Hertz asked me to leave."
Let's switch gears, Dad. Car dealership guy CDG posted an article this morning. Auto execs warn of industry, quote, breaking point. A new white paper says the industry will need to adopt new tactics to lower costs and boost competitiveness. Guys, we don't even have to come up with the clickbait anymore, because here it is. This is the industry saying breaking point. This is kind of like, I forget what it was, but I think it was Carlos Tavares, back when he was at Stellantis, said something about, I don't know, something about them like being really, really, really screwed. And that was the headline for our title, or that for our
Yes.
show that day. It's like, we didn't even have to come up with it. Carlos Tavares came up with it for us. But here you go, Dad. We've got a new industry white paper talking about the industry being at at a breaking point where really things need to change next year. I'll break down this in just a moment, but you can't be shocked to see a headline like this, especially following up the conversation we're having about Hertz being so, behind in terms of their profitability because of all those EVs they purchased.
Well, and I think a lot of the executives in charge are realizing that they truly are at a breaking point, and I think we will continue to see further consolidation amongst the manufacturers in order for some of these brands to survive. Um, it has been so costly for many brands to try and break into the EV space. And as we've noted, the amount of adoption in EVs isn't quite what they had expected it to be at this point in time, which is killing them. Okay. And it is difficult for them at best to compete against their Chinese competitors. So it is it is a time of reckoning for many brands today. So as much as a surprise as it was that Honda and Nissan said they're in negotiations to merge, we will see further consolidation in the because it's too many bad bets were made, and they're coming to roost now, and so there's going to need to be changes. So yes, many of these brands are at a breaking point. We are at a tipping point in legacy automotive as we know it, and some brands that have been around for 100+ years, there's no guarantee they'll be around for another 100.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or
And
even
it's
another
happening
10.
It's happening at the exact same time as all this inventory is building up. And that inventory that's building up is not necessarily just the moonshot EV inventory. It's also the internal combustion engine inventory. Let's do my favorite thing that I like to do on this show, an unprepared science experiment. We're going to
Yes.
CarEdge.com. Again, our year-end promotion ends. When does it end? Let's double check here. In 5 days. I guess we're running it through the beginning of January. But if we can help you out with anything, folks, check it out, CarEdge.com. That being said, we're going to make our way over to the car search, Dad. And on the car search, what I want to do is I want to look at some new vehicle inventory data, but I want to look at internal combustion engine vehicles. So let's Let's do the F-150s. How about that? I'm assuming you're good with that.
Yeah, sure, whatever. I'm good with whatever you choose.
Appreciate that. We've got 100 and holy cow, man. There's 127,000 new F-150s for sale nationwide right now. I'm in Alexandria, Virginia. These are some relatively low MSRPs, Dad.
Yes.
Let's take a quick peek. Let's jump in here. Moment of truth, moment of truth, moment of truth. 96 days supply. This is for your 2024 Ford F-150. I don't think there's many 2025s on dealer lots yet because Ford's trying to keep it relatively low. But a 96-day supply for the best-selling pickup truck in the United States is a little high, isn't it?
You would think at this stage. I mean, we're 4 days away from 2025. So yeah, that seems like a hefty day supply of 2024s at the moment. That's better than 3 months. So, if they didn't produce another one, if they didn't ship any more of them to their dealers, and if the dealers continued to sell them at the daily sales rate that they are currently, it means by the end of March, they would finally sell out of these. Well, These are 2024s. They should be gone now, not, hey, let's wait till the end of March.
Which leads me to want to do a bit of a science experiment here. Let's come back to the car search. There are 20,934 2025 F-150s on dealer lots. So the 2025s are coming out.
Yes.
But they have 100,000 of the prior model year sitting there. And what's fascinating, Dad, is if we go up an MSRP. So that previous one that we were looking at had an MSRP of $43,000,
Yes.
a more inexpensive internal combustion engine vehicle. We know these automakers, Ford, for example, have intentionally produced more of their expensive internal combustion engine vehicles in an effort to underwrite this push towards electric vehicles. So here's a $61,000 Ford F-150 XLT. 4-wheel drive, drum roll please, 150-day supply. There are 1,725 of these for sale within 100 miles of where I am here in Washington, D.C. Yet only 519 have sold in that same area in the past 45 days. So the more expensive you get here. So we just learned two things about Ford. They have 100,000 prior model year F-150s on dealer lots right now as they're bringing to market the brand new model year 2025s. And the more expensive their F-150s get, the slower selling they are. Shocker.
Well, that isn't a shocker. And if we go back to that article from CDG, the car dealership guy, I mean, one of the things they talked about was the prices of vehicles is what has caused new vehicle sales to become stagnant or slightly declining over the course of time. They are not selling as many as they would hope to or would expect to as the population continues to grow, because allegedly the technologies that are being put in these vehicles, the expense of those technologies continues to go up. And the concept of producing software vehicles as opposed to, I don't know, just vehicles is negatively impacting the cost structure. So even though the area where we see growth in small sedans, small cars, inexpensive cars, smaller, inexpensive SUVs and CUVs, those areas we have seen growth year over year, as opposed to these more expensive vehicles where we have seen a decline in sales. So either they don't give a damn, okay, and they're just going to continue to produce these higher priced vehicles for fewer and fewer customers.
Yeah.
Or maybe they'll cut back on some of these technologies and some of these softwares and lower the prices of their vehicles and expand the market that they can sell to. I don't know that it would take a genius, but if I was running one of these manufacturers, I'd be looking to expand the number of people I could sell cars to, as opposed to contracting the number of people that I could sell cars to.
Another example, we've got the new 2025 Ram 1500s, and you can see here MSRP $67,675, dealer invoice $63,200. $885, you should be shooting for well over 10% off of MSRP, 125 days supply. You go to a more expensive version of this, the Laramie, $72,250 MSRP, $67,336 dealer invoice price. Drum roll, please. 222 days supply. So it's not just Ford. We obviously pick on Ram fairly often as well because of how egregious their inventory situation is. But again, at its core here was the strategy of we need to underwrite the transition to electric vehicles. How do we do that? Expensive internal combustion engine vehicles, which in that CDG article they talked about, automakers were making money hand over fist during the pandemic. Now the tide has turned and you see kind of who has their pants down. And the tricky thing here, I don't have a ton of experience in this, but I think I conceptually understand it. I'm fairly certain it is difficult to change production schedules when you've already committed to buying the supplies to produce the more expensive vehicles. So I think we're like at least a year behind. Like the moment you as an automaker make the decision that we're going to do what you said a moment ago, which is like make more affordable vehicles, expand market share, I don't think you can just like all the supplies that go into it takes time. So I think we're going to watch this movie play out over the next year in slow motion. And then in 2026, we start to see what you were describing. That's at least my 2 cents.
But by 2026, it could be too late.
That's where I think Nissan is right now, right?
Yeah.
Like, why is Nissan being rescued by Honda? Because they were too late. It was absolutely too late. They
which
went
is why that article from CDG that we're at a tipping point. It's I think we're past the tipping point. I think it's too late for a lot of these manufacturers. I think they were misguided in where they thought they could go and how it was that they were going to get there. And, I know
Hertz is a bit of an example of that because you saw them go, like the rental car space is an example of this. The OEMs is an example of this. Like Toyota is the only one who's played it perfectly. Like absolutely perfectly. They made one bet on an electric vehicle. It was a dud, and it's not that big of a deal. Everything else has been killer for them over there.
Well, they decided while everybody else was racing to bring EVs to market that they were going to take a slow approach to this. And they bet on hybrids. And I know many people out there go, well, but hybrids are the worst of two worlds. Doesn't matter. It's what the people want, and it's what the people are buying. And that was the bet that Toyota made, that the vast majority of people weren't quite ready to make that leap from an internal combustion engine vehicle directly into an EV. That Toyota didn't see the public saying, this is what I have to have. What the public was saying is, can you give me something that's a tad bit more fuel efficient? And maybe I would consider that. And so they bet on hybrids, and that was a bet that worked. Everybody else seemed to bet in the wrong direction, and they were all, I believe, most of them have been way too slow to react and try to correct course. And that's why, even though car dealership guy thinks we're at the tipping point, I think we've passed the tipping point for a lot of these companies, because trying to change production is like trying to turn a huge transport vessel in the ocean, have it make a left turn on a dime. It doesn't happen. That dime has to be several miles long, because that's how long it takes to make that turn.
This is why I think we'll continue to see aggressive incentives in the first quarter of next year. It's not like the end of the year happens and, everything's fixed. We are seeing a big uptick in sales in the car market right now, which is great for the industry, great for consumers. There's incentives galore. It's still going to be there in January. It's still going to be there in February. It's still going to be there in March. To your point, it takes a long time to turn these big organizations. Dad, let's come here to the chat. And before we do, I need to make everyone aware that tomorrow night at 7 p.m. over on the CarEdge main channel, we will be going live. Epic fail. Now automakers are paying the price. I can't help myself with the clickbait, guys, but this is our fundraiser for Massachusetts General Hospital. Everything is hooked up. So as soon as we go live, we are set. I set the goal down at $20,000. We're going to be trying to raise $20,000 tomorrow night between Saturday, December 28th through the end of the year. We go live in 30 hours over on the main channel, CarEdge, over on YouTube. Please, folks,
We
every
couldn't
single
just,
super chat and contribution will go towards Massachusetts General Hospital.
and none of it goes to YouTube.
No, none of it goes to YouTube. None of it comes to us. It all
Yeah.
goes directly to charity Massachusetts General Hospital. So again, that's over on the CarEdge main channel. Please, please, please support tomorrow night when we do that fundraiser. From Joe,
We couldn't have called it a fundraiser.
I'll put fundraiser. It'll show up as fundraiser.
Yeah. Okay.
It'll show up as fundraiser.
Yes.
Like it'll have the tag fundraiser.
And by the way, for the fundraiser, I have committed to match if we bring in $5,000 worth of donations. I have committed to match the first $5,000 in donations with my own $5,000 donation. Zach has committed to match, I believe, $1,000. So we hit 5,000. There's a $6,000 worth of matching. It's just that simple. So we get the 5,000. We're already at 11.
Yep.
There's
so
no.
We'll be doing that. We'll be doing that tomorrow night. Please,
Yeah.
please, folks, join us. And yeah, hopefully we'll have a good time and a fun time. From Joe.
Yes.
Thank you, Joe. Ray, powdered sugar or applesauce with your latkes?
Powdered sugar or applesauce?
Never done powdered sugar.
Yeah, powdered, I believe. I am just I hate to say this, just a salt kind of guy. I just like salt on my latkes. If I had to put something on them, it would be applesauce.
We've got from Auburn Alum. Thank you, Auburn Alum. Incredibly generous. We appreciate it. After buying 2 cars the past 6 months with CarEdge's help, compared to buying cars before the pandemic, dealers use the same tactics and greed. You have to still negotiate and be willing to walk away from the deal. The dealer will always blink. We're seeing that a ton right now, like a ton. That's obviously the end of the new year. And so it's the best time if you are in the market to purchase a vehicle. Our concierge team is busy beyond belief at the moment because all these dealers, they want to get these deals done to hit those volume bonuses. So Auburn Alum, totally agree with you here. And thank you for the kind contribution and for letting us help over the past few months with you. From Taker, thank you, Taker. Ram trucks in my area are $13,000 to $15,000 off of MSRP.
And
whoa.
And that, I believe, is just from the manufacturer. That doesn't include dealer discounts yet. Just saying. So you can get more.
From Michael. Thank you, Michael. We appreciate it. Airbags were around for decades before there was widespread adoption. Technology, including hyper-technical platforms and electric vehicles, need years to be refined, plus charging infrastructure and an adequate power grid. You can't force it. I think Michael's spot on. This is what Toyota saw and didn't chase Tesla's valuation. This is what Ford saw and did chase Tesla's valuation. And you know what? Kudos to Stellantis for not launching all their EVs. They're so behind the 8 ball that it might actually work out in their favor.
And a recent survey has found that the general public is less favorable of public charging infrastructure today than they had been prior. That there are so many issues at some of these public charging locations that people are getting fed up. I mean, it turns out it says you need to go get a charge, and you go to one of these public charging stations, and half of the chargers are inoperable. That doesn't embolden people to go out and say, I got to get me an EV. At least most Tesla superchargers, most of them work. They're on it. If they're inoperable, they're on it to fix it. But many of the others, it's like, hey, it could be your lucky day. It might not be your lucky day.
Again, we'll be continuing to cover this story next year and probably into the following year as well. From Adam. Thank you, Adam. We appreciate the contribution. Hey there, fellas. Hey, Adam. Looking at buying a fuel-efficient vehicle that's also fuel-efficient and can't... Wait a second.
Okay.
You're messing with me, Adam. Looking at buying a fuel-efficient vehicle that's also fuel-efficient and can't figure out what I want. Credit isn't the best. 1, what car, and 2 suggestions on getting financing. All right, fuel-efficient vehicles. You mentioned the word hybrid just a moment ago. Any hybrid powertrain is probably the right direction to go if you're looking for fuel efficiency. At least that's where my mind goes. What do you think, Dad?
Well, I mean, there are so many entry-level vehicles out there that are fuel efficient today. And there could be some entry-level pre-owned vehicles that are fuel efficient today. If your credit's not the best, bring cash to the table. The more you can participate in the purchase price, okay? If you're looking at a car that's $25,000 out the door, and you can put, I don't know, 10 grand down, there's 10,000 reasons for a bank to say, yes, let's loan him the other 15,000, because the bank's theory is going to be, you ain't putting 10 grand down to lose it. Okay. But if you come in and you go, I got 1,000 to put down, well, the bank's going, he's only got $1,000 invested in this. If he realizes he can't make the payments, he's going to stop. So if you have less than stellar credit, one of the things that helps dramatically is cash down as a higher percentage of the purchase.
I love that feedback, Dad. I think that's great advice. And I've also pulled up on the screen just so you can see it. When you use the CarEdge car comparison feature, you can see fuel economy side by side here. So we're looking at a 2024 Honda Accord versus a Toyota Camry. And another thing we just added that I think is relevant and potentially useful in this situation as well is back on the CarEdge car search. When you pull up a vehicle now, you'll actually be able to see the NHTSA information as well. So you can see safety ratings as well as recall information. So that's another good resource. Let me scroll down here so that you can see obviously cost of ownership for that used vehicle or for that vehicle, and then safety ratings as well. So Adam, I would be referencing some of this information back on the CarEdge website. And yes, Pops, cash down. Getting a pre-approval too is definitely, if you've challenged credit, go to your local credit union. It's a great place to start. From Matthew, thank you, Matthew. Will Super Chat be deductible if not another link? You mean like tax deductible? Is that what Matthew's asking?
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know how YouTube handles tax deductions and like itemizing that and sending you that information. I think they do. I'll see if I can work out something directly with Mass General between now and tomorrow. But we've done this fundraiser twice now, I think, on YouTube. And I think YouTube's got a pretty good infrastructure for supporting donations, Matthew. But I'll take a peek. Thanks for asking. We've got from Stizzy Womack 21. Love that. Thank you. 2025 Honda CR-V EXL versus Sport L in New York. What's the better deal? We're talking trim levels here. Let me get a sense for what we've done on some of these vehicles. I'm going to go into CarEdge, go to research, see what others paid. What are we looking at? That a Honda
CR-V EXL versus Sport L.
Let's see which concierge
There's
deals
a Sport L. They got $3,000 off.
Yeah, so back in September, that was in Utah. We got $3,000 off a Sport L, Ohio, Pennsylvania, North Carolina. It looks like New York's going to be a tough market. But it looks like you should be shooting from anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 off of MSRP on that vehicle. Stizzy Womack, I would imagine market day supply is going to be similar for both trim levels. We can check that out. Give me a second here. Card Poppy. We said Honda CR-V.
Yes.
And where are we, Dad? What was the zip code?
I don't know.
It says it right there.
Where? 10705.
And we're talking Sport L, and what was the other one?
EXL.
All right, we got an EXL. So here is the Sport L in that area. We actually have no data on market day supply. Let me refresh this. We got
probably isn't a lot of market day supply.
There we go. 65 days. No, I just had to refresh. 65 days supply. That's of the Sport L. And we've got a 41 day of the EXL. So it looks like the Sport L has slightly more inventory than the EXL. So that's some good market insights for you, Stizzy Womack. Hopefully that helps you out. We've got here from Michael. Thank you, Michael. And when you hit $20,000 in donations tomorrow due to popular demand, Zach will commit to learning a manual transmission with Ray.
We don't know about that.
Yeah. We'll see. Adam, thank you. I'll double check and see if you had another message with that in just a moment. And from Steph, it's what do you own a launchness today? What does that mean?
I don't know.
What do you own a? What do I own a? What do you? I don't know. I don't know what that means.
I don't know, but thank you for the $1.99.
Thank you, Steph. We appreciate it. Truthful Joe wants to know why I'm only matching 1,000. Not as wealthy as my father, so one day I will get there. Working on it. But $6,000 between the two of us feels like a hell of a lot of money.
Come
That
on,
is a hell of a lot of
that's a
money.
pretty good match.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
Southie says I look sick. No, I feel great. I ran 7 miles this morning. I'm stoked. David got $22,000 off of MSRP on his newly leased Kia EV6. That's awesome. Congratulations,
Wow.
David.
Nicely done.
Job well done. Job
Yes.
well done. All right. Well, Pops, we got to call today's show right here at the half hour. That being said, if we can help anyone with anything, CarEdge.com. We are busy doing our best to help as many folks as possible. And Dad, we'll be live tomorrow over on the main channel. Please check it out, our fundraiser for Massachusetts General Hospital.
7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night.
Yeah, can't wait.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, Dad, I love you. Enjoy the afternoon. Thanks for the show today, as always, and I'll see you tomorrow night.
Yep, I feel very strongly about you as well.